want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. Fogham, where you can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV. Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. Fogham, where you can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV.
In order to utilize your skills and enter the digital entrepreneurship space, the new National Chamber of Commerce and the new USA DRC Chamber of Commerce, in partnership with Diaspo Academy, established in the United States of America, offers you training sessions in digital entrepreneurship at reduced costs. These trainings will allow you to enter the digital world and improve your digital skills for the benefit of this terre d'avenir and grand marché that is the Democratic Republic of Congo. As a free first-time participation, please send your WhatsApp contacts to 243-9907-30795. The first training will take place on August 15th at 1 p.m. from Kinshasa. Hurry because places are limited. Hurry because places are limited.
L'entrepreneuriat digital vous intéresse-t-il? Vous voulez apprendre à construire des projets digitaux? Aimeriez-vous gagner des revenus passifs conséquents en tout lieu? Voici la plateforme des professionnels du digital, la Diaspo Academy. Ici, vous retrouverez les meilleurs professionnels de la diasporama mondiale connectés sur notre plateforme. Vous allez pouvoir acquérir des formations adéquates qui feront de vous des entrepreneurs digitaux compétents. Étudiants, entrepreneurs, coachs, instructeurs et entreprises, Diaspo Academy est une opportunité pour vous. Elle vous offre la possibilité de suivre la planète. Toutes nos formations disponibles en ligne sont dispensées de manière interactive. Il suffit de vous inscrire et vous pourrez les suivre depuis chez vous. Au cours de la formation, vous passerez des quiz et examens selon votre parcours. En outre, à partir de votre tableau de bord, vous suivrez vos performances et progressions. Vous pourrez aussi communiquer avec vos instructeurs et recevoir des notifications. À la fin de votre parcours de formation, vous recevrez un certificat Diaspo Academy Certified. Que vous soyez débutant ou responsable d'entreprise, Diaspo Academy est une opportunité pour vous. Saisissez-la! Enfin, que vous soyez coach ou instructeur, ayez accès à un millier d'étudiants à travers notre plateforme. Merci de choisir Diaspo Academy, le meilleur choix. Pour plus d'informations, allez sur www.diaspoacademy.com. Diaspo Academy, la plateforme des professionnels du digital.
Hello, and welcome to American Africans United, the voice of AAU. And we want to thank you again for watching and coming on tonight. We have a great show for you tonight. And I want to welcome, here's your host, Yvette Butler Yaboa, and my co host, the Invisible Man.
Hey.
Wonderful. So I want to take a little, just go briefly on the mission of American Africans United and why we're here today. The mission of American Africans United is to unite all African communities, African immigrants, Caribbean, and United States and around the world on a shared common goals for economic empowerment, political representation, pursuing housing and healthcare, education, and citizenship opportunities, and supporting Africans' development. Now, today, all of the political representation. Today, we have two special guests on to talk about Biden, candidate for President Biden's VP pick, Kamala Harris. Our first guest today is Dr. Maya Rockymore Cummings. She is the president and the CEO of Global Policy Solutions, a policy consulting firm. Dr. Rockymore Cummings is the current chair of the National Association of Counties Financial Services Corporation and has previously served as the elected chair of the Maryland Democratic Party, board chair of the National Committee of Preserve Social Security and Medicare, and the board member of the National Council of Aging. She is a noted political scientist, policy expert, author, and writing a book right now, and speaker. She has written and presented extensively on the intersection of U.S. policy and politics, including Social Security, Medicare, healthcare, and issues on aging. She has received numerous awards, and she is a recipient of Aspen Institute of Henry Crown Fellowship and the Baltimore Health Department's Health Equity Award. She's earned her BA in political science from Prairie View, AME University, and MA and PhD in political science with an emphasis in public policy from Purdue University. Unfortunately, she is a widow of the late Congressman Elijah Cummings. We give our condolences again, and I know it's so sad, and resides with her dog, Andy, which I haven't met yet, didn't get to meet Andy, in Baltimore's Madison Park neighborhood. And she is a member of the New Palmist Baptist Church in Baltimore City. Dr. Cummings, thank you so much for coming on today.
Dr. Butler
And
Eboa, it is my pleasure to be on with you. Thank you so much for having me.
And we want people to remember you can call in. And we're excited today because we're going to talk about the Vice President Biden, who's a candidate for the presidential Democratic Party, his VP pick, Kamala Harris. But before we go into that, Maya, we have a video that we want to show really quickly, and we want you to comment on how this pair is really going to make a difference. Can we get the first video, please?
Come on, Pierre.
I think the video is the video coming.
Should be.
I hear it queuing up. All right, so
Oh,
while we work on those technical difficulties, because today, until we get that video up, because today we want to talk about first. It's been an exciting week. It's been an interesting week. It's been a controversial week. And we want to say because Vice President Biden has selected a female, and not only a female, but an African American or African descent female as his VP. So we want to talk about them. Give us your view on his pick, first of all, because I've had so many calls this week.
So Dr. Butler, his pick was actually a very good one for him. It was a good one for the country, and I think it's a good one for November. Kamala Harris, Senator Kamala Harris, is absolutely ready for this opportunity. And she stepped on that stage the other day, and she just took it away with her commentary. She's already prosecuting the case against Donald J. Trump. She absolutely has the experience. She's highly qualified, and she is ready to lead. And I'm excited.
So I think we got the video. Can we get the volume on the video? Because we want to hear this comment. I want to really talk about this comment because there's been so much information, and there's been a lot of, they're looking at both sides of the coin, but we want to share this video. Can we get the video with the volume, please?
Please, we will let you all speak. Senator Harris.
We can't afford to wait for evolution on these issues.
Hey, guys, you know what? America does not want to witness a food fight. They want to know how we're going to put food on their table. I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden. I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me. So I will tell you that on this subject, it cannot be an intellectual debate among Democrats. We have to take it seriously. We have to act swiftly. As Attorney General of California, I was very proud to put in place a requirement that all my special agents would wear body cameras and keep those cameras on.
So once you come about it, because I loved her forcefulness as far as really calming everybody else down, because it was like a food fight. So give your opinion on how this pair is really going to make a difference, and how with that back and forth then during the primaries. Give us your thoughts on that, please.
So I think Senator Harris actually showed that she has a command of the debate stage. That when everybody else is in chaos and trying to speak over everybody else, that she has the ability to step in and calm everybody down and be assertive without being offensive, which is always, seemingly a requirement for women in today's day and age. And at the same time, she has this track record of leading a statewide agency of a very important and large state. She's managed a multi-million-dollar public budget. She's successfully run for statewide elected office on several occasions. And I might add that she ran a campaign where she built a real presidential operation with hundreds of staff that had a presence around the country and raised millions of dollars. That shows that she has the chops, she has the connections, she has the presence, she has the ability to take this race all the way to the end and help win the ticket.
So do you think they're going to really mesh together with some of that backwards and forwards that we saw earlier in the campaign and on the trial?
So Senator Harris dropped out of the race at a December, I think, 3rd it was. So, she was never, an eventual threat for Vice President Biden. She got behind him almost immediately, showed her support by, fundraising for him and speaking highly and kindly of him. We can't forget that she already had a relationship with him that was first, as she reminded us in her coming out speech the other day, that was first established through her relationship with his much beloved and unfortunately deceased son. So I think that there is a bond there, frankly, that will undergird this ticket and help take them to the victory. I don't think that, even despite the fact that she challenged him on the debate stage, which is what you're supposed to do as a candidate, by the way, I don't think that that stands in the way of them bonding and them actually running a successful campaign.
Now, there's been a question. Yes, go ahead.
This is somewhat related. When she was speaking, the nominee for VP, Senator Harris, she was talking about racism. And I know that you are associated with the National Urban League. How did that come about, and how does that affect how you see your political life? Because I became a member when I was 9 years old.
So you all must understand that I'm what you call ADOS. This is the new term for it, right? I'm an American descendant of slaves, slavery. I'm the fourth generation from slavery on my mother's side. Both of my parents grew up in the Jim Crow South. They went to segregated and unequal schools their entire K through 12 experience. They picked cotton in the South. And certainly I grew up with the stories about how they actually had to sit in the segregated portion of the movie theater, had to drink out of the Negro-only water fountain. Yes, so their history is my history. And so certainly Senator Harris understands this history, even though she is, certainly the daughter of a Jamaican immigrant and a South Asian immigrant from the country of India. She certainly understands the transatlantic slave trade, which her father was likely a product of. She went to Howard University and is a graduate of Howard University, where she learned even more about the Black tradition, even going so far as to pledge Alpha Kappa Alpha. So with that, she is very familiar with the Black American tradition and can claim that heritage herself, given the diaspora and certainly the linkages that we all have.
Sure. Very quickly, your book, A How-To Guide for the Hip Hop Generation, and it's a political action handbook. Will it be in play?
So that was published in 2004. It's for a younger generation. I want them to be educated and supported and very fully aware of how they can make their voice heard in the political arena. It's still available, I understand, if you order it on Amazon. It needs to be updated because it's been, a number of years now since it was published, and the second iteration of it needs to actually be developed. I do have another book coming out next year. It's called Rageism, Race, Age, Gender, and and the politics of health equity. Yes. So be looking out for that one.
Okay. All right. Dr. Butler.
Wonderful. No, and thank you for those questions. They were great questions. One of the things we really want to talk about now is what is the importance of minority women, women in office, especially women of color. How important is that, and how can we get more of us involved in politics?
It is so incredibly important because women of color especially have been so marginalized in the history of this country, often serving as the help and not being seen because of it. We have, taken care of other people's babies, taken care of other people's houses, built other people's wealth, and have never been recognized for our contribution to this society. And now, women of color are woke, fully woke. And they are active in voters and in the Democratic Party. And we saw the power of women of color, African American women, especially in South Carolina, where the tide turned for Joe Biden when Black women stepped forward to vote for him en masse. Before that, it wasn't a clear-cut case about whether or not Joe Biden would become the nominee for the Democratic Party. But after South Carolina, it swung their way. So with the selection of Senator Kamala Harris, many people view that as a way that Joe Biden is recognizing the power of Black women and respecting that power.
Wonderful. As me being a woman as well. Now, I'm going to say one thing. I'm so glad we have a woman, and we're going to have another woman on today, because we've been doing these shows ever since we've only men, and it's really time to hear the women's voice. Because we're always the backbone to a great man, which you were for your husband. So one thing, you wrote that great book on the hip hop. That is a generation that unfortunately is not as connected as we'd like for them to be connected. And we want to see how can we really get them involved now, especially with everything going on as far as COVID-19. How can they make ends meet? And with all the things that are going on in their personal life now, how can we get them to really be excited and interested and really pushing for this election to happen?
I think that, that we've got a criminal, frankly, sitting in the White House. And this man is actually willing to use all of the tools at his disposal, including the Justice Department, to actually declare open season on Black men, especially young Black men. Just think about it. Just a few weeks ago at Mount Rushmore, he declared that people who are protesting in the streets, most of them, many of them Black and brown, a lot of them young Black men, he declared that they were enemies of America, when in fact they're patriots trying to make America better. And so we have to understand, and I know many African Americans across the country have lost loved ones already to COVID-19. We're disproportionately getting slaughtered by this disease. And this man has done nothing. In fact, there's new evidence coming out that his administration has deliberately slow-walked a response to the coronavirus, because they initially thought that it would only affect blue states, not red states. And so to me, that's a form of genocide. If you want to save your life, if you want to save your family member's life, if you want to stop the police from basically putting their knee on your neck, go with a ticket that is actually recognizing the challenges. Go with a ticket that is willing to step up to its responsibility and take on this coronavirus head on. Go with a ticket that is going to make a difference in your life and the lives of your family members. And that means that Biden-Harris 2020 is the only option. Because let me tell you, Donald Trump and his sidekick Kanye West ain't it.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to. I didn't mention him yet. And I wanted to get to him. What is this with him jumping in the race now? Well, how do you think it's going to affect what happens November 3rd?
So news reports actually say that Jared Kushner has been on the phone with Kanye West almost every day. Ivanka and Jared Kushner, which of course, as many of your listening audience members know, Ivanka is Donald Trump's daughter, and Jared Kushner is her husband. So they have been actively, cultivating a relationship with him, encouraging this race as a way to siphon off the Black vote. They think that if they get a popular, quote unquote, African American to run, then they can actually convince a few foolish people to vote for Kanye West. Well, I'm going to tell you that people are not going for that. Certainly, the effort to try to undermine the Black vote, they understand is critical for their election or selection in the fall. Yes. But I'm telling you, we're coming out en masse to turn this man out of office.
Well, he actually said that was his purpose for doing it.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
That's his purpose also for undermining the U.S. Postal Service. That's his purpose also for putting out misinformation about mail-in voting. Literally, this man is trying to cheat by hook or by crook, and he deserves to go.
Yes, and actually, unfortunately, they've already started taking trucks and everything away so that it's going to be very ineffective to mail your vote in. So what are some of the tips you tell people how to get their vote in? Because I'm telling them to just, take it to the polls and drop it in that box.
So personally, what I'm going to do here in the state of Maryland is they have, you can request a ballot, which I have requested. I expect to receive it in the mail, hopefully. And then you can take it up to the polling location, and they have a big drop box outside of the polling location, so you don't have to stay in line. And you just slip your ballot into that slot. That is what I am planning to do this year if I ever receive my ballot. Now, that's a big if, because what Donald J. Trump is doing to the U.S. Postal Service is criminal. Do you hear me? It is criminal. And he deserves to be impeached just on that basis alone. He has admitted that he does not want people to actually exercise their constitutional right to actually vote in this election through the means that are available to them through their state election board. And so he needs to, I want to ask him to resign before we ever get to the election. He probably won't listen to me, but I do think we need to start creating a drumbeat of saying that he doesn't deserve the position and needs to resign.
Yeah, that's a long, tall wish. I'm afraid he might not come out once elections happen. So that's one of the real fears that I'm having now. So everyone, listeners and viewers, remember you can call in. The studio number is on the screen. So remember, you can call in. This is a live show, and so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please don't hesitate to call in. The call-in number is on the show. So with that, as we move on thinking about this next election, one of the things that has been very hot, everyone talks about reparations. Where do you think our new team, if they get elected, will stand on that? And are you for reparations? And what do you think?
So yeah, my whole thing is that reparations is a legitimate policy approach. It's been used in this country before, and guess what? It's being used now for farmers who have been hurt by the president's ill-advised trade war with China. They have given farmers, I think, upwards of almost $1 trillion. And so, my whole thing is if it can be used for Japanese Americans, if it can be used for various population groups, including farmers, then it absolutely can be used for African Americans. The fact that the second that you mentioned in the context of slavery or even Jim Crow segregation, people want to run is their racism, one. But two, their inability to consider us deserving in their own minds of the fact that we made a huge contribution to this nation by building the wealth of this nation without ever getting compensated for it. And not only that, but we have been exploited, misused, and abused throughout the history of this country and continue to be marginalized to this day. So it's important that I think that we prioritize that. Now, does this ticket support that? I think that neither one of them has come out for reparations per se. And so it's going to be interesting to see if they are actually responsive to a growing demand for this policy option.
That was pretty good.
We have a caller on the line. So let's take this caller. State your first name and where you're calling from. And your question, please. First name, where you're calling from, and your question. And don't hesitate. We can hear you, caller.
I'm calling from Houston, Texas.
All right, Houston. Come on.
Yes.
I'm calling from Houston, Texas.
The question.
And your name and question?
Okay, me and Maya went to college together at Prairie. I'm Rural Williams.
How are you?
My question is, we're talking so much about mail-in voting, but I would like us to focus on early voting. We can wrap up the election, folks go out and vote early. We have 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So I would like us to focus on that nationally to make that push. And that way, because I walked at the polls in February, and generally you have low lines in the polls. The lines are weak. You can have periodically, we got 2 weeks to make an input. So we should do that.
So if your state has early voting, then that's absolutely something that you should do. That is an option that people should exercise. Early voting matters in this election. Getting out there as early as you can is incredibly important, and Rule is absolutely right. That being said, I want you to know that if you plan to go to a polling location, your life needs to be protected with a mask. You need to put on glasses. If you feel like it's appropriate, and certainly I have felt like it's appropriate, wear gloves too. We need you to be alive to enjoy the Biden-Harris victory after the election. So make sure that if you are going in person to the polls, that you fully protect yourself.
Yes, definitely. And it's funny because I'm from California originally, and I have family members already calling saying, "Do you have room in your house so they can come for the inauguration?" So it's they were here at the previous inaugurations, and they're like, "Do you have room in your home?" I'm like, "Sure. I'm gonna keep all my bedrooms clear." So hopefully that will be a great celebration. Now I know that my co-host Invisible Man had another question. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can feel it, huh? I want to go back to 1896, July of 1896, and the formation of the National Association of Colored Women, and that they endorsed, women's suffrages in 1912. But also coming from Baltimore, Dr. Cummings, you should know something about this address. 1532 and 1534 Druid Hill. That ring a bell?
Well, it's not too far from me. I'm right around the corner. I'm on Madison Avenue.
Yes.
Okay. So we have been, meaning not me because I'm a guy, even though I'm invisible, but Black women have been involved in the voting rights movement for some time. And now, like you said, the incumbent is trying to deny everybody voting. So please address that before we get the next person coming on, which is Representative Lee.
So thank you, Mr. Invisible Man, for that excellent question. You're absolutely right that Black women have a long history of advocacy and electoral participation in this country. I want to not only mention the organization that you discussed, but also Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, which I actually am a member of.
All right.
Was the only sorority that took place in a very prominent suffragette march for the right to vote in 1919. And so they were a part of pushing for the what we eventually got in 1920. As you know, that this year is the 100th anniversary, the centennial of the 19th Amendment. So Black women have always had a role in advocating for our political empowerment, and we continue to this day.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, because we're going to be bringing Representative Sheila Jackson-Lee in a few. But before we bring her on, there's a question I have because both former President Biden and also Senator Harris, they have something very similar when they talk about saving the soul of America, as we call the soul. As a politician and a woman, what have you lived at least half a century in this country? Is it possible for anyone to save the soul of America? Quite honestly, does America even have a soul? Can you please give me some examples, and how do you think this team will save the soul of America?
I think that yes, the answer is yes, it's possible, but it's not possible with one person, two people, three people. It's got to be possible with the majority of people mobilizing to say, as my late husband used to say, we are better than this. In fact, he, I think, was among the first to coin the term saving the soul of our democracy. And then somebody else went and wrote a book using that title. But Elijah always used to say that this is about the soul of our democracy. And I think that Black people especially have a role in holding up that soul of our democracy. Because of our historic persecution in this country, we are the conscience of the country. And our voices need to be heard about not letting this republic go by the wayside, because we know what dictatorships look like. We know what autocracies look like. We know that autocratic governments don't allow people to actually speak their minds and speak their truth. We know that people in autocratic dictatorships disappear people with not a trace, never to be found again. We know that they repress people and oppress people. Just think about what we're going through today in this country, and we live in a republic, what it would be like under a dictatorship. The possibility of freedom is not even a possibility in that scenario. We have to preserve, protect, and defend our democracy if we want to push for true liberation. And that is absolutely the truth, Ruth.
Yeah, it is. Oh, well, thank you. We have another caller on before we go to Ms. Lee. Caller, please state your name, where you're calling from, and your question, please.
Hi, Yvette. This is Zakia. I'm calling from California. I want to thank you for putting on such a needed forum. My question is, am I asking my question now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, my question is, I've been on Facebook and I see that a lot of young folks are not happy with the Kamala Harris pick. And I just wonder, Yvette sort of touched on it, but I wonder what we can do to get our young folks motivated to support Kamala and Biden, because if they're not voting for them, then it's a vote for Trump.
So ask them if they are happy with children being ripped away from their parents at the border. Ask them if they're happy with the Bill Barr, the Justice Department head, allowing the Fraternal Order of Police to declare open season on Black men. Ask them if they're happy with an administration that openly declared that they wanted to tear apart the healthcare system, the Affordable Care Act, brick by brick, so that people who need access to care don't have it. Ask them if they're happy with the whole drama of the last 4 years under this president. Ask them if they're happy with their family members dying of COVID-19 because of a lack of a national plan. Ask them if they're happy with any of that and more, because that is the choice that we're facing, and to me, it's no choice. So if you want to stay home and let Donald Trump get reelected so that all of us and more can die, do that. But I would say this: if you want to survive, and if you want your family to thrive, and if you actually care about your own life, get out and vote for Biden-Harris.
Yes. And before we move on, I know that there's a book that is getting ready to come out. And I want you to say a little bit about your husband's book that's getting ready to come out now. Can we have the book slide up, please?
Yeah, so it's coming out on September 22nd. It's We're Better Than This, My Fight for the Future of Our Democracy. It recounts Elijah's struggles with Donald Trump, how he had to subpoena him, how he did all these kinds of investigations, how the president of the United States lied to him continuously, how he viewed the president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, as the gravest threat to our democracy in our lifetimes, how he felt very strongly that if we did not get this man out of office, we would not have a democracy. And you all remember that when he came out of that hearing with Michael Cohen so long ago, he basically said, when we're dancing with the angels, the future people will ask, what did you do to preserve, protect, and defend our democracy? What did you do? And Elijah, if he were alive today, he would say that there is no excuse. The only thing that we can do is speak out and vote.
Thank you so much. And we have another caller, and then we're going to bring Ms. Lee in. Caller, can you state your name, where you're calling from, your first name, where you're calling from, and your question, please.
Am I on now?
Caller, are you there?
Yep. Thank you. Am I on now? Okay. Hi, Dr. B. This is Precious Smith from Maryland.
Hello.
I supported your campaign, and I was just curious and wondering what's on your list next, moving forward with all the excitement that's come off of this election. I was just wondering what's on your your things to do list moving forward.
So, first of all, let me just say thank you for supporting my campaign for Congress. I deeply appreciate you and everybody who did support my campaign. It was not ultimately successful, but I certainly learned a lot, and certainly, I don't regret the run. That being said, I've got a book coming out myself next June, and it's called Rageism. I think I mentioned it earlier. So right now I'm writing, I'm focused on writing. And this is the first time I think in my adult life where I literally don't have any major career plans, don't have any idea of what's next. I'm just open to what the universe, extends to me. I'm open to what God has for me. And so that's what I'm doing.
Hello? Yeah, so you getting on?
She's on.
Oh, she's on. Okay, all right. I think we have Miss Lee on.
All right.
And thank you so much, Precious, for that question. I believe we have Miss Congresswoman on the line. Can we bring Congresswoman Lee in, please? She's joined on the line. Can we bring Congresswoman Lee in, please? And as we get her in, one of the things I want to say, because there was so many young people calling in, and talking to me this week, and that's why I said we have to have this show. We have to talk about those young people. So what I did, I went to a few millennials, and then I went to one in particular who gave me this quote to say, and they said voting isn't marriage, it's public transport. You're not waiting. If you're not waiting for the one who's absolutely perfect, you're getting the bus. And if there isn't one in your destination, you don't just travel. You take the one closest. So we were, when they said that, they said, talk to these young people, tell them, hey, you don't have a lot of choices. So let's take the closest one that will get us to our destination. And so with that,
So am I going to be in the corner
yes.
the whole time?
No.
They should make the full screen.
I think some
Well, why don't you call them?
Lee on there.
Lee, hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Miss Lee, are you there yet?
I am
She
here.
is on the line. Yes, hi, we don't see your face yet. So let me, yes, we have Miss Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Director, can we get her face up, please? We don't see her face yet, but let me introduce Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. We're really excited. And Congressman Lee, I want to thank you. Soon to get your video up, but I want to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I don't know if you remember, I met you in the airport almost 20 years ago now. I met you in the airport, and you are so authentic. I mean, you were one of the most unbelievable persons I was able to meet. I was so excited. And I don't know if you probably remember, you get a lot of folks, but I was like, oh my God, I think that's Sheila Jackson Lee. And so I just went up to you and started talking to you, and you were just honestly a gracious and genuine individual. And so I want to thank you so much for coming on our show today. So I'm going to do a little introduction first. She is serving, Miss Lee, Congressman Lee, is serving her 11th term as a member of the United States House of Representatives. She represents the 18th Congressional District of Texas, centered in Houston, which is the energy capital of the world. Considered by many as the voice of reason, she is dedicated to upholding the constitutional rights of all people. She sits on 3 congressional committees. There we are. She's a senior member of the House Judiciary and Homeland Security, and newly appointed by the leader as the member of the Critical Budget Committee. She is the first female ranking member of the Judiciary Committee, Subcommittee for Crime, Terrorism, Homeland Security, and Investigations, is leading the way for the criminal justice reform through groundbreaking legislation, including the Sentencing Reform Act, Law Enforcement Trust and Integrity Act, the RISE Act, the Fair Choice for Youth Act, Caliphs Act, our law, and the Raising an American Rising Act of 2015. Now, I won't go. She has an illustrious history. And I only put up a bit of it because let me tell you, her bio is very, very extensive. But without further ado, we have Miss Leon, and so we've gotten our video up. So I want to thank you so much, Miss Lee, for coming on today. And we're here, and I'm not sure if you heard some of the earlier questions, and we're here with Dr. Rocky Moore Cummings, and we're so happy to have the two of you on here together because it's all about women today. And we want to hear from you about the choices that Vice President Biden has made for Kamala Harris, and what is that going to do for United States? And how do we keep them in office?
I'm delighted to be with all of you. It's a pleasure to be here with Dr. Rockamore. We are longstanding friends, and I'm so grateful for her intellect, her genius, and of course her service, because she too is a public servant. She knows that her husband and me were classmates of sorts. We came in the same year. He came in just a little later, and we have been good friends. And his spirit is one that permeates the House of Representatives because he was more than an able servant, if you will. And he loved his district. He loved Baltimore. He loved his beautiful bride. But he loved most of all the spirit of service. And in service was not for himself, it was for others. I look forward to this fantastic and stupendous book that will be an education tool for all of us. This has been a week, and it has been a week, I hope, for all of us. It has been a week for all of us as relates to the selection of a vice presidential person. And I'm excited about the fact that this is an affirmation of Black women. And of course, Senator Harris is a Black woman with Southeast Asian heritage. She is proud of her heritage, and she's proud of her status as a Black woman. And I think that most people don't know the history of Black women. They see us now, and I think we become like an old shoe. There they are. Black women always working, Black women being parents, being single parents, Black women being academicians, astronauts, scholars. I've already said that. They are doctors, lawyers, they are mothers, they are sisters, they are scientists, they are business women. They are a myriad of things, but they don't know the burden that we carried from the moment that the slave traders purchased us in Africa rather than spices and gold, and the history of us being the glue for families, even through the history of slavery. And as the descendants of enslaved Africans, we have continued to try to be the glue for families. But we have also, in the economic mountain, we're at the bottom. Just about 10 days ago, I heard a statistic that Black women in Washington, D.C., place where we're working to make it the 51st state, made 51 cents on the dollar, right. And women made 89 cents. I know a lot of this is the work of Dr. Rockamore, along with the understanding of the environment and energy. So my point is that we've never been in this space. We've never been in a space that would put us this close to the presidency, to even be perceived to be a president of the United States. And I think that this gives life to Shirley Chisholm, who courageously in 1968 said that I too am an American. I'm a Black woman of consequence, and I'm running for the presidency of the United States. This gives consequence to the Honorable Barbara Jordan, poised to take a position on the Supreme Court. That did not happen. And it gives to countless women who are at the bottom of the mountain the fact that Senator Harris has risen to the mountaintop and she has taken us with her. So that's what I think it is. And it's intergenerational. I certainly hope that from all of the X's and millennials and all ages recognize that it's not the fact that she made us as Black women, but she is now taken a place where Black women are seen to be capable of doing many of the things that we're already doing. But people will turn there and say, oh yeah, there were astronauts that happened to be Black women. Oh, how long has that been going on? There are doctors, surgeons, scientists that are Black women. The deputy administrator for NASA at the Johnson Space Center is a Black woman. Oh, have they been around all this time? It's an affirmation. And I hope that it propels us to many great things.
Well, thank you so much for those words of wisdom and that edified us. But we have, as you know, it's a live show, and we have a caller on the line. Actually, a few callers. So can we take the first call? And caller, please state your first name, where you're calling from, and your question, please.
The number.
Okay, caller, we can't hear you well.
Yeah, my name is Malik Lizanzo from Maryland.
From New Orleans. Okay, your question?
Yes. Can you hear me good, Dr. Butler?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so my name is Malik Lizanzo, and I'm calling from Maryland. I'm the CEO.
Maryland.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Caller, your question, please.
Yeah,
Say your question.
I'm Malik Lizanzo. I'm calling from Maryland. I'm the CEO of Global Affairs Network. Yeah, so, okay. Oh, okay. So, Dr. Butler, I want to thank you. First of all, I want to thank you. I also want to thank so my question, I wanted to make a comment real quick and then ask my question. I know there is it's a little bit difficult to see to hear my own voice. I'm going to turn off my.
Yes, please turn off your.
First of all, thank you so much, Dr. Butler. Secondly, I want to thank Dr. Cummings, not only for the work she's doing in the community. She's a great public servant. Also, very importantly, the ability to really continue to hold on her husband, Congressman Elijah Cummings' legacy. I think it's a beautiful thing she's doing. She always there, always everywhere. It's a good thing. I also want to thank Congressman Jackson Lee for an impeccable leadership she has in the Congress. I had a chance to meet with her in 2018. A very reachable person, and I'm very grateful for the work she's doing on energy and her ability to try to reach out to African nations. So I'm very grateful for her leadership. I have a daughter myself. I just want my daughter to grow up and look up to those amazing leaders, women leaders, especially in the Black community. So my question here is actually about how a strong a candidate has to be in front of facing Donald Trump. We've seen how vicious this man is. I remember how vicious he was, and it was against when he was running against Hillary Clinton. And one of the most famous phrase that he was able to convince a lot of people, African American people, was that what do you have to lose? You guys remember that when he was saying, what do you have to lose? African American have suffered tremendously under Democrats. So our communities have been suffering because of Hillary Clinton policies. Do you think Kamala Harris have the tenacity and the leadership necessary to really face Donald Trump, knowing that he always somebody who's disrespectful to a woman, or already shown some he already has started to attack the VP, and I just wonder if she would be able to really handle Mr. Trump and to show the entire country that this is a time for black women. You know, black women are black magic, and the Democratic Party really in the future really have to understand that black women really are the backbone of the Democratic Party. So I just want to listen to some of the comments, whether from Dr. Ricky Moore or from Congressman Jackson Lee, to see exactly if they can reassure us about Kamala Harris' leadership. I know that you guys have already have many times to see her in action, both in the community and in the Congress. So I'm going to let you comment on that. I know this is a time that all women across the country have to give.
Caller, let's get your question answered. We only have a little bit of time. Let's get the question answered.
Well, let me start, if I might, for that answer to say I absolutely do. This is a movement. This is a journey. And both Biden and Harris will not travel the journey alone. We have 80 plus days to elect a new attitude, a new movement for this nation that I believe the nation is begging for. I think elections past, candidates like Hillary Clinton were misinterpreted. They were facing the intrusion of Russians. We know all of that now. And so we have to be prepared to fight Russian intrusion and stop it in its tracks. We have to make sure we don't have fraudulent elections. But as it relates to the debating of Vice President Pence, which Senator Harris will have to do, I think her knowledge and depth, the astuteness that she showed in the questioning of Justice Kavanaugh and Attorney General Barr shows that she has a very clear and astute mind. But you also have to have a heart, and you have to have policies. And I've seen the policy papers presented by the Biden campaign, now the Biden-Harris campaign. They have an answer for almost every aspect of our ills. And if they get in and we continue to be the wind behind their back, they'll be able to pass legislation. And we take the Senate that will improve the environment, that will have a better approach to the continent of Africa, that will improve the opportunities for small businesses. Their plan for small businesses is a sizable percentage of the government's business to be for small businesses, which it has not been. Very difficult to do business with the federal government, the largest business in the nation. And so I think they have plans for improving healthcare, education, HBCUs, and a better form of opportunity that can hopefully stop gentrification, better mass transit. So these things are not as clear because it's hard to read policy papers. But she'll have a lot to say to the vice president, and they certainly will have a better answer to 168,000 dead. And finally, they will have a better answer to the overhaul, the distinct, effective overhaul of the entire criminal justice system, starting from juvenile justice all the way to dealing with those who are incarcerated. I said I was ending on this. I know the brother is from Maryland, but I believe there are enough of us who know about the continent of Africa that I'm always keeping on the front burner to have a enhanced relationship. But that relationship has to be rebuilt through the Congress and through the executive. We're prepared to do that with leadership who is willing to treat Africa and African nations as equals.
So that quickly, then we want to ask your we want to get your opinion on what you said, and that in Africa. Let me tell you, I was there when you were in Ghana. We were there at the same time, so we got to work together to make that cross-continental work well. So we'll show the video just quickly. It's a 15-second video. Could you show the video, please?
I know that women around the nation, women of color, and yes, black women can see their equal status in this nation finally. You know, we have lived through the election, Congresswoman, of the first black president. We could see the election of the first black and first South Asian American woman vice president. I know you told Anderson Cooper that Kamala Harris's selection takes women of color to the mountaintop that Martin Luther King preached. Is this something you actually thought you would see?
Well, I know that Joe Biden is a good man. I know that there was
wanted to talk about the statement that there was a statement that you had said. We missed that piece of the statement. But there was a statement that you had said that question was in response to. And I want you to, I know you remember that statement. I want you to comment because, you know, it was this election is going to be very challenging with all the barriers that are being put up by the president in office now. So with all those barriers in place, how are we really going to ensure that we have a safe, fair, and equitable election?
Well, because we have people like Dr. Rockamore Cummings, who is quite astute about her own state. We have an outstanding Maryland congressional delegation. I'm sure other elected officials. I'm grateful that Congressman Raskin was able to reach me to participate here tonight. But I'll tell you how we're going to do this. We're going to do this the same way the sister who Dr. Martin Luther King asked on the Montgomery bus boycott, "Are you tired?" And she said, "My feet is tired, but my soul is not." And there will be people coming at us. You know, if I was on the corner, I would be saying, you know, bring it on. But we're going to already be facing those who are going to bring it on. We have to have confidence in this ticket, this unity ticket that has brought a lot of people together, a lot of issues together. And we've got to demand the fact that whoever hands the government is in right now, that they cannot skew or destroy our safe and fair elections. The elections are state by state. The only authority that the federal government has is under voting rights laws and discrimination laws. And it'll be congressional people that will have to insist that the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ, the Department of Justice, does its jobs. But states will have to be in charge, and it will be people who have to report suspicious activity. We've got to make sure our cyber system is secure so that we don't have an intrusion that skews the election by count or anything else. You know, I lived through a horrible election in 2000. I was in Florida at the office holding up chads and looking at them and counting chads when the Secretary of State said on Sunday, "This recount is over." Clearly unfair, because Sunday in laws, if something ends on Sunday or is due on Sunday, you have the next business day. She would not accept that. I've been there. I don't want to go there again. I was there in 2016. I don't want to go there again. So we have to make a pledge to ourselves. This election will not be stolen. And a fair election, I believe, will elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to President and Vice President of the United States of America.
Well, you know, we want to thank you. We want to thank our guests. We had several more questions, but we don't have time to get to them. But I want to thank, you know, Honorable Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee for coming on today. It has been a pleasure seeing you, and you know, you always have a place and dear in my heart. And I want to thank you for being a representative of Texas and being on Capitol Hill. And I also want to thank my good friend, Dr. Rocky Moore Cummings. I want to thank you both for being on today. It has been amazing. So we really have to get these young people out. And I want to get talk about get out the vote. We don't have time, but I will do my part, whatever we have to do to get the vote out and really get these millennials to the ballot box, because that's really going to push us over the hump and getting everyone to vote in this coming election. So thank you again. for being on today. And my co-host, the Invisible Man. You didn't get to hear so much from him. We have a co-host, and my co-hosts are Invisible Man, Professor Zakira Mir. We want to thank you also for being with us today. Thank you, and we'll see everyone next week. Next great show for you. We have the president of the Afro-Descendant Nation, who will be on, and we'll be talking a lot more about get out the vote and reparations.
That's
We
right.
didn't get around to asking Ms. Lee about reparations, but we will get there. And next week, please join us with American Africans Today, AAU Voice. For next week, we'll have the president of the Afro-Descendant Nation on at 7 o'clock. Every Friday, we're here. And my guess, if I can have you back on again as we get closer to election so we can really focus on how we can work, I hope you'll come back on again.
I can't end by saying support H.R. 40, the commission to study and develop reparation proposals. That's where we're going.
And I want to end by thanking Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee for her stellar leadership. She's the hardest working woman in Congress, and she represents her district well. She is brilliant. Thank you so much, Congresswoman.
It's a pleasure to partner with you and certainly your leadership. And again, she knows I've got to thank my congressional delegation. Those are my colleagues in Maryland. You all have got a great team, and thank you for your great leadership. And I always love her genius around research. She's the best. Thank you, Dr. Cummings.
Thank you.
Dr. Butler.
And thank you both again.
And all the host and co-host.
Yeah, but before we go, I just want to say one thing real quick. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that a nation can rise no higher than its woman. So we have to elevate our women. And that's my comment.
Yes.
Smart man.
Thank you. Yes, very, very smart man. I got a good co-host. Thank you so much again. And we're going to sign off today. And thank also Afrique Today for allowing us to host these shows.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
It's so good to see you.
Thank you.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. Fogham. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV.
In order to utilize your skills and enter the digital entrepreneurship space, the new National Chamber of Commerce and the new USA DRC Chamber of Commerce, in partnership with Diaspo Academy, established in the United States of America, offers you training sessions in digital entrepreneurship at reduced costs. These trainings will allow you to enter the digital world and improve your digital skills for the benefit of this terre d'avenir and grand marché that is the Democratic Republic of Congo. As a free first-time participation, please send your WhatsApp contacts to 243-9907-30795. The first training will take place on August 15th at 1 p.m. from Kinshasa. Hurry because places are limited. Hurry because places are limited.